Here we go. Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. For the week ending December 29th, 2019, we're almost to 2020. This is episode 343, where we talk about smart building controls, HVAC controls, superheroes, Avengers, whatever else we want to talk about. And speaking of superheroes, secret agents, what would our show be without your host and mine, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only secret agent man, Kenny Smyers, the control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'm feeling that part now. Secret agent, superhero. And one of the reasons why I am is because we have just been, we've been working up a storm with some really, really starry people, the heroes of our industry. We're starting to break them down. We're starting to break the categories down. We got some very important announcements about the Controltrends Awards, but we have two great interviews with people that basically
the finalist.
Yeah, but they're also just the thought leaders, and it's fun to associate with people that are actually taking the leading roles in our industry. So,
no, completely agree. I'm pumped up about that too, buddy. First of all, how was the Christmas?
It was very nice. We had some extremely mild weather. We might have set a record. I think we had 62 degrees the day before Christmas, and it's like 55, and there's people golfing. So we're having an anomaly of weather.
Yes, I think as an industry, we should take credit for that, because without our control and our energy conservation, it'd probably be 90 degrees in Pittsburgh at Christmas time. So I think we're doing our part to help with the global cooling and warming. So we'll keep that up. But dude, it's hard to believe we're almost to 2020. It's just like unbelievable.
Well, the Roaring 20s are starting again. I saw a really interesting marketing spiel on how the Roaring 20s, the fashions might come back, the dances might come back, doing what was a crazy dance where they kicked?
Oh, the Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston, because it was such an interesting time period. And do you remember 2015 in Chicago when we actually had the speakeasy thing and the Charleston dancers up on the stage as our
dude, I gotta ask you a question. So, if there's such a thing as reincarnation, we lived before. What time period would you have lived in before if there was such a thing? Because I know mine. I know exactly when I was here last, if there's such a thing.
I don't know, but seems like I have an affinity towards water, oceans. I don't know. So some kind of seafaring thing. I don't know. Maybe like, let's put around 1630.
1630. Okay. Maybe Christopher Smyers Columbus.
A little bit after that. That Christopher, he was on that maiden voyage stuff. I couldn't deal with that.
Dude, I tell you what, the 20s, and I think there are parallels, because I think that things do go in cycles. And, the 20s are a fascinating time to me, because it was, in the 1900s, it was technology. That was it. Technology was going to be the answer to everything. They made these machines, electricity. We were, entering this age where technology was going to make everything better. And you know what happened? World War I, the most destructive war probably ever. I mean, but more importantly, but it disillusioned so many people, because that technology was taken and used to just create mass destruction. So, usually when there's mass destruction, you get great art, great literature, and things like that. So my time period was the 20s in Paris after World War I. That's where so much great art was done, and writing, and Hemingway and all those people. So, if you think about the parallels, and hopefully we're not going to wind up with another mass destruction like we had, but we've had this technology boom, here in the first part of the 2000s, and it's escalated. So I think maybe cyclically we are repeating again, and it's going to be interesting to see how the technology changes things.
Well, I mean, if you talk about the 20s, the whole decade, it was an amazing, period of the aftermath of World War I, and then, of course, the incredible, Black Friday, the stock market collapsing, but and we started at an interesting, dimension in North America, especially in the United States, with the speakeasies and whatever. How we went from one of the reasons, the repercussion of World War I was that we were, our civilization was losing its grip on its morals and its structure, and they thought that, you know, one of the big basis of that was the availability of alcohol. So
No,
the prohibition.
the big basis of it was people were just after World War One. I mean, people were so disillusioned. I mean, the Roaring Twenties was, you know, whole existentialism thing with John Paul Sartre and all that stuff. Is like, you know, people just saw the devastation of that, and they're going to go, well, you know, they rethought how they were living lives. I mean, what kind of morals could you have in World War One, right?
Absolutely. Well, to think about the artists, like you're saying, the writers, you know, and the group that came out that basically Tolkien, you know, the Lord of the Rings,
Ernest Hemingway and
well, I'm just saying the different dimensions
right.
and different Europeans. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think deep on this because we were
Because
involved.
we're off on a tangent, so we got to make an important announcement about the
We need to get
control
back to the
trends.
control trends. Yeah,
Yeah, we better do that.
Well, the
What's
reason
big
why
announcement?
is that the Fox came up and they announced that the kickoff is going to be at 6:30. The kickoff is going to be at 6:30. That means the Control Trends Awards has to respond to that trend. No, just kidding. We've repositioned the time scale so that we are starting the kickoff for the Control Trends Awards is going to be at 5 p.m. And
Sure.
we
So
came up.
that means people have to get in around 4:30 or so.
Well, yeah, they're gonna have to be queued. We have a VIP event that's coming up to fruition. EJIO is going to have a Control
Party.
Trends Awards party at 4:00 at the they've got a section. It's kind of ripped off for them. But yes, please start to make your plans to be at BB King in Orlando, no later than 5, because we're going to have to you know, have a kickoff there literally, and it's going to be accelerated. And the Super Bowl starts at 6:30, so we'll have the ability to put the main. We reconfigured the show based on the environment, the venue, and we've had some great ideas come up from one of the AV guys down there about the 270-inch monitors are going to be pre-positioned on the sides of the stage. And when the games start, we're going to clear the stage off, and we're going to have the backdrop of the big viewing screen. So we're going to have Super Bowl party galore, because it's going to be just one of those visual. It's just going to be a great place to be. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to watch a game, eat, and just have fun and mingle, and that's going to go into 9:30. So
It's going to be the best Super Bowl party in town, plus the Control Trends Awards.
Right, and we've got some neat things going on. So it's going to be a hell of a show. And but please, we need to just start. We'll put that in the post for this week's Control Talk Now. 5 o'clock is start kickoff. The Control Trends Awards, 2019 Control Trends Awards, are kicking off at 5 o'clock in Orlando.
They are for sure. And Kenny, what's the dress for this year's event?
You know, Eric, we think this is going to be a fun one where we're going to de-emphasize you know, business demeanor. We're going to go into a football mode, so tailgate mode. Anything to do with your favorite team or whatever you want. So if you're a soccer fan, wear your soccer shirts. Wear something to do with the venue, and that's going to be a Super Bowl party. So tailgate. So there's people from Washington D.C. said, "Can we wear stuff?" I said, "Sure." Companies might put together their own little team. You know, jerseys or whatever. I don't know if they're going to go into that length. We're going to do something neat with our own little, you know, so we'll have some kind of a footballish, you know, appearance, so that it kind of commemorates the first time where we had the Control Trends Awards and the major event, the Super Bowl, combined, and give people a double-barreled, you know, good time and
right.
a momentous occasion.
Okay, so let's just back up real quick, because the nomination period has happened already. We've got the finalists, and to just review very quickly, we have a nomination period that goes on for months and months, and people get written in, and then the top 5 or 6, or in some cases 8 or 9 vote getters in each category go on to be the finalists. And the finalist ballot is up on Control Trends, so you have to vote again for the finalists. We announced the finalists in a video Kenny I made in Miami. And so the finalists are up, so the voting ballot is up and ready to go. And Kenny, what we want to do between this time period and when the voting ends for the finals, which is going to be near the end of January, we'll put the exact date up, is we want to interview as many of the candidates and go through as many of the categories as we can. So if you're a finalist and want to sort of help your cause, if you will, then come on the show. Because experience has shown over the years that the people that win do a couple of things. Number one, they energize their own network. And that could be in the form of, hey, so-and-so's up for this award. We're up for this award. Please vote for us. You can copy the link to the voting ballot and send it out to your community. So that's step one. Step two is they energize the Control Trends community. And they do that by coming on the show. That's one really good way to do it, because we've found that if somebody doesn't know who to vote for or doesn't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak, in a particular category, they will vote for somebody that they've seen on Controltrends. So that opportunity is available to you. If you're a finalist, just let us know and we'll try to get you on the show. If you have any information that you want us to post about your product or your people, now's a good time to do it. Controltrends is open source, for lack of a better term, and we will get it posted for you. So Kenny, we're going to go through, the individual categories. We're going to break 2 categories down this on this show. The first is the Woman of the Year. So Kenny, who are our finalists for the Woman of the Year?
Eric, our 2019 Controltrends Women of the Year finalists are Lauren Scott from Distech Controls, Nicole Conklin from Cochrane Supply, Therese Sullivan, Tritium, Angie Jarvis, Functional Devices, Erin DeFries, Langspring, Donna Hamilton, Siemens, Lisa Hickey, Belimo, Barbara Cook, Honeywell, Tracy Knaffel, KMC Controls, Monica Mahan, McMahon, Optical Networks, and Donna Haggerty, Intech. And I apologize.
Dana Haggerty from Intech.
Oh, dear.
That's all right. That's all right. Dana's a great person. She's here in Atlanta with Intech. And for people who might not remember that name, Brent Burrows, one of our young guns on the Next Generation Innovation co-host. That's his company too. Well, listen, man, it's a great field again for the Woman of the Year. And we actually have one of the nominees here. And again, if any of you the women want to be on the show, please reach out and let us know. But Kenny, how about introducing one that we know and has been up for this award before? And let's bring her on and talk to her a bit.
Love to, Eric. We have a very popular person in the HVAC building automation world. This person has been nominated for Controltrends Woman of the Year, and I believe technical support. She should be there if she's not there. But we have Nicole Conklin from Cochrane Supply and Engineering. Nicole is the product marketing and management, product management she does the product marketing and product management for Cochrane Supply. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, I tell you what, if my kids are really into like DC Comics and all that stuff, and so they like Wonder Woman and they like Supergirl and Batgirl and all that stuff. And I would have to think, based on what I know about you, you're kind of like a combination of all those. I mean, if we had a superhero woman character in our industry, I think it would have a big N on it, and we go NC Nicole Conklin. So,
all right.
Oh, thank you.
We are big fans, and I will publicly say this right now: if Scott Cochrane ever's not treating you right, hey, you have a home in Atlanta. It's 70 degrees out there now, and I'm just kind of kidding, but because we're going to talk about Scott here in a minute, because I tell you, he's one of our favorite people too. But you guys have assembled a great team, and tell us how did you get in the industry, and tell us how you got started at Cochrane and your sort of ascent to being the Wonder Woman of our industry.
Again, thank you for that. And, I kind of got into the industry by accident. I was young and I had interviews with Cochrane Supply to be a receptionist, answer their phones, mail invoices, do quotes, miscellaneous office stuff. And it's kind of where I was going. So I got with them, and, as a receptionist, I was bored asking for more and more and more. So they gave me more, and I went into purchasing and doing a lot of data for the company and expediting orders, things like that. And then we had an opening in marketing, and I shot over to marketing and kind of checked that out. And that's when we got introduced to Tritium in Niagara. And, going to school for my bachelor's degree, I was going for a computer information systems. So it's all Java-based, HTML, a lot of different programming platforms that the Niagara platform is based on. So I was pretty excited getting into licensing and helping sell the product, ordering it. And, Scott and I would go out and build relationships together. He'd be the outside person and I'd be the inside technical type person for the companies, and supporting our customers, making sure that they had the proper software and hardware and how to integrate to different devices, or even tech support out in the field. I would man calls and help our customers, or, work with Tritium to help. And we had Mike Mitchell as well.
All righty, Nicole, that's a great summary. I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed. And I'll tell you what, that's 20 years of experience that starts at the ground level. I mean, I was in the family business too, and I know the importance of reception. And when you do well, you get kind of, I don't say promoted, but you get opportunity to do something different, more demanding, more challenging, and you begin the
Yeah.
learning process. Because I remember my first experience was I saw you down at the Tritium's advanced Niagara training with James Johnson was leading the group, and you were right on top of everything. I thought, boy, that's pretty. You were the only woman there, so that was the first thing I was the observation was that, I saw that the women were coming into our industry and filling very important roles, and you described it very well because you had an inside outside relationship because that inside person is so critical, but they got
Yeah.
to know what they're doing. They got to know what things mean. They need to
Hmm.
know the basics. So it's almost like people trying to cherry pick our industry and come in doing the IT work where they don't know the technical stuff, but having that grassroots, ascension, going from the important customer relationships, building it, learning data management while you're doing a parallel path in college for, computer information systems. This is why you're so darn good at what you do. And see, we're trying to always tell young folks out there, the young guns and whatever, how you get into the industry. Sometimes it's serendipity. You had no idea that when you started working for a company, you would ascend through their years and learn the industry from the inside out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the last things I remember seeing you was you do a lot of presentations. I mean, you truly have the expertise, and you went to ControlsCon, and that's the big. Tell us a little bit about that and your role there, because I think that'll set up the next couple questions.
Yeah. So Controls Con, we started it probably around the time that Tritium started their Niagara summits, and we did them on the off years. We used to call them the mini summits. We'd go in the middle of Michigan, middle of nowhere, and bring our partners in and kind of replicate what Tritium did with their Niagara summits. And we wanted to be able to get that education out to our partners and put our own spin on it. And we have technical tracks where James Johnson comes in and Mike Mitchell collaborate and do some cool programming stuff for the technicians, but it's all based in technology. And so it's evolved just like the Niagara framework, just like we have in the industry and with technology. So now it's we have usually over 700 attendees. We hosted in Detroit, and we've updated it to the Controls Con, and really given it our own branding and our own input on where we see the industry and where we're pushing technologies into the buildings.
Well, I want to hop in on that because Kenny and I've been to a couple of your control cons, and it is spectacular. I think one of the things that I really like about Control Con is you think if you are a vendor, you're going to be pretty much, talking about your product and how it relates. And those conferences are great too.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've got a distributor like Cochrane that's bringing in all these key vendors, you get such great perspective there. And you do it every other year, which is perfect too. We were there last year. So congratulations on that. That is a fantastic conference. I would
Thank you.
encourage our viewers to attend that if you can. That's one of the events you want to put on your calendar.
Yeah, we already have dates for next year. Unfortunately, I don't even have them right now.
No, that's all right. We'll post them as soon as you get them. How about that?
Yeah, we'll be advertising at the Niagara Summit this year in April, and really looking forward to everybody and really showing newer technologies out there and how we're pushing that envelope.
Well, I'm sorry. I just to Eric's point, there was another spin on this that we're getting to, or I was, that the distributor's role has changed. The evolution of the distributor. You keep talking how you were pushing technology, and the role of a distributor evolved from being a passive role, basically depending on the big mature vendors to tell you what's happening next, to more of an innovative role that the distributor was taking the technologies from the various vendors, in integrating them and putting out new innovative solutions. And I think Cochrane's role was you guys took you were the tip of the spear. And it's great to hear how your teamwork worked there with Mike Mitchell, you and Scott, and how you started from 3 people, but now you've grown it to quite a large enterprise. And I would say that basically, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say Cochrane's probably has been the leading distributor that's taken a lot of the distribution partners in that right direction, making them a little bit more, cognizant of how you got to evolve and take on technology.
I would agree with you. I think if, for example, if you back in the 80s were doing computers, you would pay attention to what Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were doing. And I think if you're a distributor in our industry, you better be paying attention to what Cochrane Supply is doing. I mean, the very fact that Scott recognized Nicole's talent and brought her along and the innovative stuff that they're doing. And Scott was the first one to say, hey, you got to start hiring IT people and teaching them control. So I would concur with what Kenny's saying. I think you guys are one of the innovation leaders in our industry. And hey, we're proud to know you. We're proud to call you guys friends. And I think for our other distributor partners out there or other integrators, one of the things I like about you guys are kind of raised. You know, Don Cochrane was in our Hall of Fame at ControlTrends 2 years ago. And I think, you know, you guys got some integrity about you too. So I think if another distributor wants to work with you guys or partner with you or another integrator, you guys are going to protect them. You're going to work with them. One of the things I like about Scott, you know, Kenny and I have a philosophy that instead of fighting over the pieces, the crumbs in the pie, just make the pie bigger. And I think you guys are definitely in that mindset of making the pie bigger for all of us. So hats off for that.
He's really brought a lot of what his father's taught him into the company, and, you know, always tell the truth, know what you don't know, and always give back to your customers. And that's ingrained in all of us. And he's also very competitive and also curious, always has to know what's coming next and what's coming more. So he pushes our whole team to figure out what's next and how can we push that envelope and how can we make it better or easier. And that's the value add that our customers need, because the manufacturers can only take that so far.
Right.
Well, yeah. Let's transfer it. I think it's a great point. I want to expand on it a little bit because I say, you know, Cochrane's been around for what, 30, 40, 50 years?
Celebrated 50, yeah.
52.
Yeah, 52. Stromquist has been around for 65. You know, Kenny comes from a lineage of people that were some of the very first distributors. And you know, Kenny and I have talked about this. And I'm going to put this in the form of a question. I think we're sort of at a pivot point where, as a distributor, you could be the most relevant piece in the chain, the distribution chain, or the supply chain, or you're just going to get obsoleted and bypassed. So, how do you see distribution playing? Because you guys definitely are leading the pack in that. How do you see distributors playing in the value that they can create?
You know, I really, it's helping them with these new technologies and getting knee deep with their customers. And if we don't do that with all of these IP technologies and owners' buildings, it could lead to a lot of risk in cybersecurity or other things that could hurt our contractors. And so if we get into this with them and learn it with them and show them the best ways of doing things with these technologies, it's going to protect them. And at the end, it's going to protect our business as well. And, you know, and the manufacturers, they have amazing teams supporting them. They just can't get the reach us distributors can. And that's why it's so important for our roles in the business and making sure we have that value add for our contractors.
Well, I think part of the value add, and I'm going to put this in the form of a question too, Kenny, you and Nicole can hop in on this and see if you agree or disagree, is I think that it's impossible for a vendor to necessarily be all things to all people, right? Meaning that that you have to, you know, if you look at a job now, you're looking at best of breed with different products. So it used to be we just put all brand H or brand J or brand X in.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that now the owners are demanding best of breed, and it's so hard to keep up with the technology. So it seems like one of the roles of a distributor is to be able to go to the smorgasbord and pull the best pieces in to create just the right meal for the customer that the customer wants. And that, as you know, is more than a full-time job keeping up with all that. So it seems like my question is, it seems like that is part of the real value distributor like Cochrane or Stromquist or DMS Controls can bring to the table. Agree or disagree?
I don't disagree at all. I think that we're creating solutions, and with end users being smarter and the internet and social media and educating themselves and, you know, the products and what they want in their buildings. Like you said, sometimes you can't always go and have one full straight manufacturer in a project. Sometimes you need to leverage those technologies from other and just create a full solution.
Well, it's a great conversation here we're having, because I think it brings in very the whole thing's starting to dovetail together, because we saw that the reach of the manufacturers, they couldn't get to the owners the way the distributors can, or the contractors. So the distributors role evolved into more of a hand holding with the technologies, because as Eric always says, that fire hydrant flow of information stuff, somebody has to filter that, because there's just too much. There's too much innovation, too much false starts, shots across the bow. Everybody's worried about this is going to happen and take over. And I remember back with Dell, IBM, Google. I mean, we had all this cacophony where you couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't, and then
Whoa, hold the phone.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So now, Nicole, if you watch the show, Kenny always throws in a vocab word of the week. Cacophony. All right, Kenny, what in the world is cacophony? Come on.
Cacophony is, let's just say, static noise, things that make noise and aren't harmonious. So
let me ask you a question. Okay, so that is kind of jejune to the conversation.
There you go. See, he's pulling back one of his veteran words from the old days. So I'm getting to the point where all of a sudden products and technologies have got to our doorstep, in our hands. And we've filtered them down to the best ones and the ones that are best in class, and they don't always follow a single vendor's lane. The channels have been mixed up, and a lot of accessory items, a lot of stuff with software and IT. So the thing I think that Cochrane and you all did, your team did, was you began that networking process that went outside of the HVAC and building automation industry and went into the deep seated contractor levels, and with the master systems integrators, and then also with the users, the Realcomm, IBCOM folks. And that's when you really got the traction. And that's where I think, that's when the needle moved. And then all of a sudden you saw a whole different, the sequence changed. This used to be this, and this, and, request for proposal, get this specified, meet this engineer, talk to this contractor, demonstrate capabilities, whatever, get low price, and go to work. Now we're seeing that the storytelling occurs up at the corporate level, the C-levels. All the C-level players that never knew anything about our industry, all of a sudden want to see a dashboard with their own particular specific interest. And that's what I think Cochrane realized, gleaned from all that information, all that, conversation and networking, was how do we present a simple solution? I remember Scott saying, everybody wants to go in there and sell graphics and all this other stuff and hurry up, past the real problem. What are your problems? Write down the 10 worst problems you have in this building. Let's start there. And I remember Scott summed it up one time about, the most simple mission statement had to include safety, security, and comfort, and then of course, energy efficiency. But that was kind of a neat way that we all kind of piggybacked, whether y'all realize it or not. You changed the industry to the good, to the better.
Yeah, Scott is definitely what's the word I'm looking for? A visualist or
visionary?
Futurist, whatever that word is. But he is, and as he started meeting more end users and learning their struggles and how we can help those collaborations between the end users and the contractors. And the other thing too, like you said, the C-levels are wanting to see their data now. They are wanting to get more involved in their building, and they're wanting to maintain more of their buildings, to understand these systems and have those people in-house to do it themselves. And it's important for them to understand whether there's a value add in that, or when to pick and choose your battles, and also to have good data. No matter if you're working with 20 contractors or just one MSI, it's still good to have an understanding of your data. And like you said, what are your needs? What's going to make you comfortable in your building? How are you secure, cyber secure, and in your physical security? Thank you. And also lighting and, those different things. And environment is very important for an employee or a coworker or someone in the buildings to have a good environment to be more productive.
Sure.
Well,
Eric, I just want to say one more thing, and I'm going to give you.
No, go ahead.
I'll give you whole 2 minutes.
No cacophony here, though, Kenny.
Cacophony.
No
Listen,
cacophony.
Nicole, we're going to have to call this the Scott Cochrane if we don't get this circle back to you.
Yes, exactly.
And again, you're nominated for the Controltrends Woman of the Year, and I think this time you really drew some attention because you've been so active in all the communities. You've been active in the agri community. A lot of people refer, they say, if you don't know what to do, call Nicole Conklin. She'll tell you how to do the asset manager. You know, she'll share how to do. So tell us again what your roles are and some of the communities that you participate in, so that you, again, you're getting a lot of attention. Why is that so?
Well, I didn't realize that, so that's pretty exciting. And you know, to be nominated for Woman of the Year and to really get myself out in there, it's important to me because I have a lot of information to share. Scott will go and sell things, and I have to make it happen. So I get ingrained in the community in different companies and learning all of this just because I have to, and I love sharing it with people. So, you know, if you do need something, call me. We'll work it out. Even if I don't know the answers, I will find them and I will hunt them down. And that's really what's gotten me through this all, is picking up the phone, finding my resources, and understanding what I'm working with.
Wow,
and that's really what's got me through the whole Niagara product line. And we support so many people, whether it's end users, OEMs, contractors, system integrators, mechanicals, vendors, you know, we're all over the place. So, you know, it's very important for me to be on top of everything with the Niagara platform to make sure that we're doing it properly and that we can help lead others into it properly as well. You know, we have I work with a marketing person. She does a fantastic job in sharing these products, and you know, my job is to work with her to get the product information out. She makes it all pretty and look great and sends it to our communities. And then I just on a daily of supporting people like you guys or our contractors. Like you said, if they don't know, they just call and say, hey, have you been across this? And, you know, we end up finding the answers. And to me, that's the fun part of this. I'm learning something new every day, you know, and just to be nominated is just, you know, winning for me.
Well, you are so deserving, and this is not the first year you've been nominated. You've been nominated every single year since we've had it, and you know, so thanks to Christina Reed, who's your marketing person. She's awesome. So you know, Kenny and I are big fans, and you know, Nicole, you do say something because Kenny and I are trying to attract more people into the industry because you may or may not know, but 2025, there are not going to be enough of us. So Kenny and I have been sort of on a mission to attract people into the industry. So for you people out there who are listening, and we might even cut this out and put this into a reel about why you should come into our industry. It's like, you know, a lot of these people, they go to IT school, they wind up living in a cubicle farm. And if you're somebody who is like an information monogamist, like that, Kenny, and where you just want to do the same thing over and over, don't come into this industry. But if you're somebody that craves excitement, that wants to learn something new every day, there is never, ever a dull moment in this industry. And it's one of the few industries I know that I'm hitting all the buttons now. One of the few industries that if you want to save the environment, it's one of the few industries that you can actually have a direct impact and have data that you can show your friends at cocktail parties about how many trees you saved today. So agree or disagree, it's just an incredible industry. If you're willing to work hard, the opportunities are there. You can go from being a receptionist to pretty much running the company in a few years if you're willing to work hard.
Absolutely. And it's that easy. It's just pushing yourself to be better every day and wanting like that knowledge, like you said, wanting to learn something new every day and it always being different, new challenges. Some days we may want to bang our head off the wall, but what job are you not?
Yeah.
And, you know, but like you said, we're making an impact. We are working with people's systems and creating a unified experience for those users. And you can say, I was part of that. You know, I was able to make those changes and help that unification and a good user experience in those buildings.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, there's two questions I have left on my list of questions or points. One is, what is your favorite in that unified integration or whatever? Everybody has a favorite project or a favorite learning experience or one of those ones that kind of is your most triumphant, you know, self revelation on how something worked. You know, it started out kind of slow. And then the last $1 million question is, what do you see in the next, say, 5 years, the future of our business? Where are we going as an industry, or are we going in the same direction? Are we going to see ourselves kind of meander in different directions? Do you see any major departures?
Well, I know that one's a hard question, because none of us, I don't think we would have seen our industry where it is today. So guessing where we're going to be in 5 years from now it's very wishy-washy in what it could be, but I think that it's going to be a lot more easy buttons, I guess, for a lack of better words, because like you said, we are challenged with people in our industry and the technicians to get this technology deployed in buildings. So more and more of our partners are going to be looking for those easy buttons, something pre-assembled, something easy and not as labor intense, I guess, to get a project done and on to the next one.
Wow, good stuff.
Well, I want to add on to Kenny's question and ask, well, what advice would you give those of us in the industry to prepare for what will be happening in the next 4 to 5 years?
To be prepared. Really, it's just staying in that technology and as you're seeing, like in AHR or the Niagara Summit, ControlCon, any IBCon, Haystack, the KMC Summit, all of these different manufacturers conventions or community conventions, and they're pushing out technology, and you get to interact with those end users and learn about their needs. And when you're learning about those needs and learning what they're facing in the buildings, you can look at the right products to help you gear that towards your contractors and teach them what the end users are looking for.
Nice.
Nicole, you just said something very profound, and I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to co-own it. And that is, you've got to always learn the new needs of the customers, and they're new. Even though they're old as far as comfort, energy, whatever, there's a new need, and learning, keeping up with those new needs. And you don't have to name any specific projects or people or whatever, but what was your favorite defining moment project where you really knew you were in the big leagues, or you did something that you yourself, you always think back, when you're having that, you're driving somewhere and all of a sudden you pass a building and you think, damn it, I did that. I got a footprint in there and I'm really proud of it. Tell us about the integration of what you did.
That's a hard one.
Probably been so many of them, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, there's like small milestones, like when I first started getting into the technical support side, we would go on site with contractors and sit in a boiler room and with a box with your laptop on it and helping this customer program or figure out how to use this Niagara stuff in the building, and seeing it work as you walk out, that's exciting. Sure.
And I will say though, before we got into the Niagara platform, there was a product that we picked up called NFlex. Don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of it, but it was kind of like the notion of Niagara, but it was very manual. You had to create all your points and link them to that all in spreadsheets. And I was 20-nothing years old, and my first trip for Cochrane, I went to Prescott, Arizona for training and figured it all out, came back, and I had a couple of my own projects with customers, and see those work and know that I was a part of that, even though I wanted to throw the stuff on the floor and smash it at times. That was exciting for me.
There you go.
And just, really the customers' responses and me being able to help them and hearing you rock, you saved the day, or you did this, that's a daily reminder of why I'm here and why I stick around. And that, I think, is my gratification of it all, is being able to mentor and help guide people.
Awesome.
Very, very cool. That is awesome, Nicole. Well, listen, I want to shift gears a little bit. What do you like to do for fun?
Sleep. I'm kidding.
Okay, so a typical day, I'm guessing you start pretty early, and it sounds like you work pretty late. So there's maybe not a lot of time for fun stuff, but when you have some time.
Well, my fiance and I like to go, really in the summer is when we're, the most active. We have kayaks. We love to go out on the different lakes or rivers and just float in the water or go through hikes through the woods or, really anything outdoors. You said it's
Any
70.
yeah, any place where there's not a computer or a phone where somebody can contact you,
Well,
right?
that's really the last thing I want to do when I come home any day. I try not to be on my phone. I try
Yeah.
not to be on the computer or internet or anything, as minimal as possible, because that's what I do all day is talk.
Very good. We got a question from Dave G in Chicago, and Dave wants to know, in terms of movies, are you more like a Dumb and Dumber girl in terms of movies or Die Hard?
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, me too. Don't you love that? Isn't that great? So I love those movies like that. Kenny's more like what, Mr. Robot, right? Is that your thing, Kenny?
That's a good series.
That is
That's
a
a lot
good
of fun.
series. Good series for
We
sure.
just went through the Witcher. You want to watch an adult themed, interesting series? It's called Witcher.
Now, when you say adult theme, do you mean like violence or sex or both, or
Both.
is something that's complicated to understand?
It's like the Vikings, and it's like Game of Thrones.
I'll check that out then.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But no, I mix it up. I like the Forrest Gump stuff, and I also like the technical stuff because to me it's a variety. You gotta keep I never did have that outdoorsmanship though. I was in the military for a while, and we had to do some outdoor stuff, and it wasn't volunteer. It was mandated, and so I just never liked camping out or whatever. The sooner we got back to civilization, got back to wherever, I was happier. So I always, and my family always said too, why didn't we ever go camping? I said, you know what? Don't have a good answer to that, but I don't like camping.
Because I don't like it. It's a good answer.
Well, Nicole, listen, we are so thrilled for you. We really appreciate all you do personally. Like I said, if there's, we might just have to have, instead of Woman of the Year, we might call it Superwoman Hero of the Year. You would definitely get that hands down. And good luck in the voting. The voting ballots are out. Nicole's on there. You will hopefully be in Orlando, right, for the AHR and for the Controltrends Awards.
Absolutely. We'll be there Sunday morning, and we'll hang out and watch the Super Bowl afterwards too. And
Awesome.
It'll be a great day.
It's going to be a fantastic. And for all you people out there, because I can pick on Scott a little bit because he's a longtime buddy of mine. When Scott comes in and says, "Yes, I can do that," what he's really saying is, Nicole will figure it out. So there you go. That's Nicole Conklin. Best website for folks to find you guys at is CochraneSupplyAndEngineering.com or just Cochrane?
CochraneSupply.com. We also have Cochrane Tech Services, where it has all of our training, technical support, and everything as well.
Yeah.
And
How cool.
and make sure you vote for me, Nicole Conklin, Woman of the Year.
Right. And listen, if you, because Cochrane's up for several awards, including the Distributor of the Year, and Scott Cochrane's up for 2 or 3 awards. So if you only have one vote to spare on Cochrane, vote for Nicole. I concur with that completely. Nicole, thank you so much for taking time to be with us. Really appreciate
Thank you so much for the time this morning.
Well, Kenny, a great job from Nicole. She's really, really good people. So very happy for her. But then again, man, what a hard decision, because every single finalist is so deserving and so qualified.
So true, Eric. And again, I think just getting to this point and being nominated and having the industry at large recognize your efforts and vote and nominate you to the finalist level is already a very important milestone, I think, because just being nominated for the Controltrends Women of the Year out of the 30, 40 women is a feat. I mean, let's face it, this is competition. It's like the athletes, you got all the great running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks. They got NFL's doing their 100 best, this, that, and the other. Well, our Controltrends Awards is doing the same thing for our industry. So it's very esoteric. It's only our folks that work in the building automation and HVAC world. I'm just really impressed, Eric. I'm excited. The interviews that we're, with Nicole, to get those revelations and just feel the way how somebody progressed through a career. You get that cliff notes on it. It's just a remarkable experience. So
again, congratulations to all our finalists for the Woman of the Year. And Kenny, our next category that we want to break down today, and our next guest is around this, is going to be for the, it's a new category we've had the Executive of the Year for the HVAC executives, large and small. And this year we're breaking it down. We're adding another category, which is HVAC executive, master systems integrator, or distributor. So how about running through our finalists on that, please?
Eric, I'd love to. It's the Master Systems Integrator or Distributor Executive of the Year. These are some big names. And it's a who's list. Roger Rebenak, Jackson Control. Ted Hauk, Hepta Systems. Chip Cummins, ControlCo. Scott Cochrane, Cochrane Supply and Engineering. Richard Campbell, Kelly. Phil Rogers of Barrio Energy. Stephen Johnson, McKinney's. And Drew Meyer, Computrols.
Well, that is a great group of people. I'm so glad we expanded this category out because, being an executive at a manufacturer is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And I tell you what, these people that made the finalists, they're all brilliant, hardworking people. And we've actually got one of them on the show today. So how about introducing them?
We have the president of ControlCo, Chip Cummins. Welcome to the show, Chip.
Welcome, Chip.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate the introduction.
Cool.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, I've known you for a while, and you're one of my favorite people in the industry, and we have history, as they say. But
Yes.
Before we get to our history, let's get to your history a little bit. How did you wind up in the controls industry?
Out of high school, ended up going into the Navy. Spent 8 years serving, 6 of those on the USS West Virginia, to Trident submarine as a nuclear mechanic. At the end of that, the Navy had shrunk down. Not a whole lot of opportunity to go into a shore duty that would have been interesting. Went and interviewed with Johnson Controls in Atlanta and ended up finding an industry that I knew I would enjoy and would be constantly challenged with and have fun doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then somebody came and snatched you out of Johnson Controls' hands because they didn't want to let you go. Who was that character?
Well, oddly enough, I met a man out in the field starting up a boiler. His name was Sam Lindley. At the time, he was the president of Stromquist and Company. Met him, thought, wow, this is a really knowledgeable, technician out here. About a month later or so, I got a page from you, Eric, and answered and came in, and somebody convinced me that I could be a salesman.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, and then you went on into a very prolific career, though. I mean, it seemed like you were designed and meant to be in this career field, this profession, this industry, because everywhere you went, you had instant success. After Stromquist, you went to Intertech, then you went to ControlCo, and now you're in your present position as president. So,
I think everywhere I spent my time, I had great people around me. I had great leadership to learn from. Just the whole industry, seeing it with the help of people that had 30 plus years of experience. I remember a guy coming into a counter one day and said, "I'm looking for a filter." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "It's the one that you put a toilet paper roll in." And I just laughed. I thought he was joking. And one of the salespeople at the counter bumped me out of the way and said, "Oh, I know it's this part right here." And I realized that this industry was filled with people that have been really passionate about it. And the well, as they say, is very deep as far as the knowledge that it takes to be successful.
Well, very, very, very much, very well said, Chip. And Kenny made a statement earlier, it seemed like you were destined to be in this industry. And I would say yes with that, but I'd also say that you were destined to lead. And, obviously you're up for the Executive of the Year. And so I want to sort of, let's talk a little bit about your views on leadership, because, everywhere you've gone, you've been a great leader, either by example or by teaching other people. So tell us about your leadership philosophies.
I always thought that to be a good leader, a person had to first be a good follower. I think that helps when you get to a leadership position, that you don't get frustrated. You recognize that people are doing their best. And if they're failing, then that's your opportunity to do something productive as a leader. Leaders tend to surround themselves with really good people. And my job then would become just whatever I can do to help them out. So leadership, I don't know if that's the best name for it, to be honest with you, because you're surrounded by leaders and you just want to set a good example and help them out.
Well, I think that, again, I think drawing on your military experience, and I was in the military too, leadership is something they used to say, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And then
Right.
I think in our industry, we're seeing, the leadership has been broken down into manager to executive officer. We've seen leadership go into these multiple brackets because leadership is such a all-encompassing word. But the reality is that you've got to be a team member, and when the opportunity arises or when the requirement is there, you be the person that takes the lead and be knowledgeable. I think the thing that impressed me most when I met you, Chip, was your ability to answer small questions and then do the enterprise level integration questions. You knew the business from the ground up. It's very extraordinary. There's not many people that run around and possess that wealth of experience that includes the technical side, knowing how things work. You've been in the industry just at its critical moments. You've seen the industry go from that pneumatic world into the relay world and then DDC, and now into enterprise integration.
I think the big change, we've started out, like you said, starting up the boiler. You started the pump, you got the flow check, you run the boiler, you put hot water into the system, and we try to make people comfortable. And that was the primary goal. And, along came, systems like hot deck, cold deck, where you're running hot water and chill water at the same time. We didn't really have the big concern for energy. So, at the time it was more comfort. Then it became more energy. That evolved. We stopped calling them building management. We called them energy management. Then we started looking for integrated systems like you're talking about on the enterprise level. And the one thing we were always good at is creating the data. And I think, that's always been my sticking point. We were very good at creating data. We were big data before big data was cool. And now it's gone from, like you said, pneumatic controls where we're just worried about comfort. Then we could mimic that with electronics. Then we could tie multiple systems together. Then we started looking at saving energy, and now we want to take it to the next step. We want to save energy. We want to make people comfortable, and we want to be predictive and save money. So the analytics piece is now, I think, the holy grail of our industry. That is the part where we're taking an industry starved for educated people and kind of implementing some analytics to help people accomplish those goals. So that has been the big push lately that I've seen, and the big goal is creature comfort. Awesome. All the way up to energy management, all the way up to, okay, now we're really operating efficiently, saving money, keeping people comfortable, looking out for things that are going to fail. But that's what I have seen is big evolution.
That's awesome. That's how many years does that span? You started in 2000, 2019, so you
20
at least
years.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a pretty good summary.
Well, yeah. Which is, Chip, tell us a little bit about ControlCo and your philosophy, because obviously we're all distributors here, and we were just talking with Nicole Conklin. She was our first guest, and sort of about we sort of see it as distributors sort of got to evolve or die. But talk about ControlCo and sort of how you guys view your role in this whole supply chain.
Well, you hit it on the head right there. It's evolve or die. I was there at StromQuest the first time we implemented a web store, and I saw immediately about a 20%, 25% adoption from our customers. And that caused me to lose the connection with them a little bit. So you have to be focused on providing that web experience as well as the experience of the over the counter, the handshake, and the sales calls. But I think now more than ever we have to provide value for what we're selling. the things that we don't necessarily as distributors provide value, there are others out there that tend to want to sell it cheaper.
Yeah.
So if we're not providing value, then, loyal or not, I expect my customers are taking care of their companies, and they're going to save money for their companies as their primary directive. So for me to provide value on, something that would be considered a commodity nowadays, that's become more difficult. So we tend to focus on, the parts and pieces we do provide value to, and some of the services like the engineering services, or, maybe some help programming services, panel building services, those types of things. I think those really add value to the contractor customers or the end user customers.
I couldn't agree more, Chip. And it's like, I can tell you from firsthand experience, because doing this live streaming and this broadcasting, it's like at this stage of the game, I don't care what I have to spend for the gear, but if somebody can just help me with it, because they all want to push you back to, go to the help page, and to get to actually physically talk to somebody, to have you explain how it works, and at least in broadcasting stuff, is damn near impossible. So I think you're right. I think having the products, number one, but then knowing how to make it work and how you can apply it, I think is a huge piece, right? So, and I think that's something you guys in ControlCo have been really good at.
Yeah, I recognize that it scares a lot of people, but like I said, you can't be scared of it. You have to embrace it. Amazon is here.
ControlCo has led the way and grown in different dimensions. You got Cadero, you have Buildings IoT. And so you're solving problems. You're not providing products anymore. You're solving solutions. So
it's not distribution where we focus on selling parts. Distribution is a solutions business. And that is how the other entities inside ControlCo began. They began as solutions to problems, or solutions to to fill in some gaps that the industry really hadn't addressed yet. So back 10 years ago plus, ControlCo developed an analytics software called Profit to do analytics. They started using cloud-based head ends or enterprise solutions. So bought computers, and they're sitting in those data centers locked up behind closed doors. So, there was always an idea of fulfilling the needs of the customer. So, right, it's a typical day, we're looking for problems that we can solve. We're looking at customers that need solutions. There's plenty of them out there. Again, the world is a ever-changing place. So on a typical day, we're probably looking more for the projects that people don't want than the ones that everybody wants.
There's a company that you guys are handling, Chip, G5 out of Poland. Tell us about those guys. They're up for a lot of awards.
Yep, it's GC5, Global Controls 5. Their product line that they're bringing into the U.S., ISMA, and a lot of really innovative controllers and their I/O devices. So mini I/O, it's IP or MSTP with and without overrides. It's great stuff. It's already very popular over in Europe. They've got a line of controllers that are Sedona-based controllers that, again, are very innovative. But I think what drew me to them originally was their Mac 36, which is a Niagara-based controller with I/O and the ability to operate like a Jace. And it had a really cool little HDMI plug, and you could plug in an HDMI display directly into it. So you didn't need a computer and go up with the touchscreen. And again, like Ken said, I like to play with the technology. So as soon as I could, I had it all plugged up.
So which room in your house is that one in?
That one's, yeah, that's still in the office behind my desk.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's awesome stuff.
But
go ahead.
they're a great company, and they're filled with great people. A lot of fun working with the folks from Poland.
Well, GC5, like I said, they're up for awards in virtually every category, so we will see them. And they won last year. They won an award last year. Kenny, I think they were Integrator of the Year last year.
Yeah.
International. So,
Okay.
so they did some great stuff there. But listen, as we wind our time down here, we need to get some really important stuff. We get a lot of younger listeners. We've been talking about the millennials coming in, and they're pretty deficient in certain areas. So I think a veteran like you, who's been in the trenches, I think we can leave them with some really important advice. So what Scotch should they be drinking when they go out to order a cocktail?
If they're not practiced, go with a Macallan, something lighter that's not going to knock them back in their chair the first sip. If they want to impress the old guys around them, order a Lagavulin neat.
There you go. Because memory serves me right, you are very technical on the Scotch drinks as well. What about cigars? Are you a cigar guy?
Nope. I don't smoke at all anymore.
Well, then there you go. So you youngsters, stay away from that, from the cigarettes, stick with the alcohol. What else? Tell us a little bit about you personally. What do you like to do when you're not working?
Not working, couple hobbies. I love cooking. Smoking. I got the smokers out back. I also like to do a little 3D printing. That's become another hobby.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I tend to stick with the hobbies that allow me to stay in the house while my young one is still young.
No,
I still try to go golfing a little bit. I
got you. Well, listen, before Kenny asks this next question, I just got to ask, which control system do you have controlling your smoker? Because I know you're doing that remotely. Are you using like a Niagara system? Are you using the GC5? What's controlling the smoker?
It's a little scary. I do have an app on my phone that controls the smoker.
I
knew you would, brother. That's good stuff. What about you, Kenny? What do you got for Chip before we hop on?
No, I just want to congratulate you again. I think, again, things start out small and turn into big stuff. And it's great to see your career blossoming and you taking on a leadership role. The CEO, president of ControlCo is a big responsibility, and you guys got a lot of good people, and a lot of people look to your company and what you're doing to see and examine what they might be doing in the future. So keep up the good work. You guys are basically help stewarding our industry to its next evolution point.
Agreed. All right. I got one more question. And ControlCo.com, our guest is Chip Cummins. He's all up for Executive of the Year. So please vote for Chip. And if you vote for Chip, you might get in on this. So Chip, Ken and I are coming to your place. You're going to fix your best meal for us in the smoker. What are you cooking?
I'll have to mix it up then. We'll put a little brisket and some ribs. Start with that, some homemade coleslaw, a little bit of cornbread. We'll throw it up Southern style.
That sounds great. So how long does that take to cook? The preparation process?
Good brisket somewhere in the 15, 16 hours.
Okay. So I was going to drive to Nashville today for a late lunch, but I think maybe tomorrow at lunchtime.
All right.
I'll see you there. Our guest has been Chip Cummins. Chip, thank you so much, brother. ControlCo.com.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Hey, Kenny, so good to hear from Chip, man. He is one of the good dudes in our industry. And, like you said, a very good technical guy, but also very solid in terms of being just a great person.
Well, like I said, he speaks softly, but carries a big stick. I liked how even when the question didn't jive, I threw some scrambled eggs at him and he said, wait a minute, what's going on here? I love that analytic person that just, takes control of the words and the verbiage and the cacophony and tries to make sense out of it and get you the right answer back. But he's a marvelous guy, nice guy, just good natured. I remember being in a couple of shows with him and different breakouts and just, just liking the guy because he just, was so personable and just genuine, and the fact he likes to cook. And then he likes Ohio State. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I'm going to his house tomorrow for brisket, so I'm excited about that. So, all right, brother. Well, I tell you what, that's another big week on ControlTrends.com, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. And again, please mark your calendars. If you're coming to the Control Trends Awards, plan on getting it a little bit early. Go get your favorite football jersey or cheerleading outfit or whatever you want to wear there, because we're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll get Chip to cook for the ControlTrends Awards. That might be a lot of fun. We'll talk to him about that. So and with that, a special thanks to Chip Cummins from ControlCo and Nicole Conklin from Cochrane Supply, 2 great guests this week. We will see you next week on ControlTalk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. But until then, be bold, be in control, be relevant, and do something a little naughty this week. Christmas is over. You don't have to worry about Santa Claus anymore.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. And that's a wrap.